Okay, some of you have asked me to explain what is happening with the commodity markets. Well, first of all, I have to say that probably the most interesting in the past 3 months have been the oil market. This is really uh, crazy what has been happening, even with negative price in some of the future maturities during the months of March and April. Okay, this is surprising, but it has much to do with the different purposes or the different oil consumptions. If you see this chart from Eurostat, this 2017, but it wouldn't change very much in the previous uh, 2 years. As you see, mostly 50% of this oil consumption is related to transportation, road transportation. That means cars, private cars, or buses, or lorries transporting different things, etc. You can imagine what has happened with private transportation during the months of March to June, and I have to say March to June because this is continuing in many parts of the world, especially South America, but even in North America now with the problems with COVID, this is increasingly stopping. So the best forecast that we have is that road transportation, if there's not a second wave in this COVID, will fall by approximately, let's say, 10 to 12% during the year. But look at the aviation, which is almost 10%. You can imagine what happens with a world in which only 5% of flights were flying during the confinement periods in Europe and USA and other countries. So that means that the impact on the oil demand of COVID has been incredible. It is going to last. Well, it depends on many things. Of course, the worst is over, probably, unless there's a very huge second wave. But the problem is that some of these effects will be lasting there because many countries have been trying to profit from this situation to provide subsidies to buy cars, electrical cars or hybrids, or in any case, reducing oil demand. You can see how the oil prices have been decreasing very sharply from the maxima, more or less 10 years ago, 9 to 10 years ago, 130. But then, as you see, we reach levels around almost 90, 86, 87 during 2018. This is the Brent. Will be slightly different with West Texas. But from March, the decrease was terrible, and now we are recovering parts of this loss. It is short term. This is the rebound of a dead cat, and probably it will last till 45, 50. This is very likely, which is a gap that the market left during this terrible decrease. What happens with other commodities? Of course, the most interesting is gold. Why? Because gold is serving as a safe haven. And as the stock market has not been that bad in April and May, the gold was not really increasing, but now it has even reached maxima above the March levels and April levels. And I think it's very likely that we will go to try to break the 19, 1900 points. And if that happens, this is very likely for the gold to reach the 2000, 2100. Very interesting. Very interesting as well how the silver has not been following the behavior of the gold, which is very likely. You see the maxima here in 2011 when the gold was in maxima, but for many reasons, it is it will take us another video. But I think there's still a very good opportunity for silver to recover some of its safe haven purposes, and probably it will go very likely towards 24, 25, which is very likely. For other commodities that we call consider more industrial oriented, for example, copper, as you see, we are very far from finding uh, any improvement because this is still, I would say, suffering from the very poor economical conditions. In my opinion, unless there's a very, very, very important change in the conditions of uncertainty that we are suffering in the markets, gold will continue to increase. All these industrial commodities will continue to suffer. It is very, very early in this situation to forecast a change, a shift in the economic situation. So probably that will happen in a year, 18 months. It depends very much on the vaccine. And finally, oil could still rebound, but not very